how do you really get successful and learn to grow the business? Well, you turn the pyramid upside down, and we as leaders focus on the foundation. It's the people that load the trucks. It's the people that are doing the welding. It's the people that are keeping the lights on. All right. And so our job as leaders is to make their lives better. Okay. And two things happen when that happens. Our customers' lives get better because we deliver our products on time with high quality. And then, secondly, as a leader, my life gets better because I'm not focused on all the small minutia problems. I get to go out in space and go, where's the next place to grow?
It takes something a little more to lead with impact. I'm Lisa Nichols, author of Something Extra, and this podcast was inspired by our daughter Allie, whose additional chromosome has shaped how I see people in leadership. Each episode features conversations with inspiring leaders from around the world about what truly defines how they lead and serve others. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider leaving a 5-star review. It helps more people discover the show. And if you'd like to go deeper, my book, Something Extra, is available on Amazon and through other major book retailers. I'm thrilled to have Robert Griggs on the show today. Robert is a true son of Missouri and a titan of the manufacturing industry. He is the founder and chairman at Trinity Products and the author of the book, Foundational Leadership. Well, Robert Griggs, welcome to the Something Extra podcast. I'm so delighted to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Yes, and I want to give a shout out to Marianne Bingardi.
Yes.
That connected us, and I know she's been important in your life and in the Trinity story, but we were meeting one day and she goes, you need to know Robert. And you and I had a quick little call and I said, Robert, come on to the podcast. So
he is quite the promoter as well, and just a wonderful person. And so I do a little speaking for them, and she comes out. I'm on the board of her Missouri Made, okay, and she's involved with Missouri manufacturers and those sorts of things. So we have a lot of places where we meet up. So it's been great. She's awesome.
She is. I could not agree more. Well, I know that you are, they call you a Missouri son. You grew
True
up,
son.
Yeah, true son. You grew up in a small town in the Boot Hill,
Yes.
right? Charleston.
Yep.
And I think you came from a military family, farming community. And here's what I want to talk about. You also went to Mizzou.
Yes, ma'am.
And here's what I want to talk about, Robert. 2 years after graduating from Mizzou, you started Trinity Products.
I did. And I knew I always wanted to start a business. And, today we helped, they just had a on-campus pitch competition where there were 80 pitches this last weekend. It's called Mizzou Startup Weekend. And there was nothing then. You just kind of had to know you wanted to start a business and you were willing to take a leap. So I got a sales job and they didn't treat me quite right. So some of us left and we started a company. I was 23 and just started buying and selling and it just grew. And what I learned from all the things that if you've been around the military, there aren't colors in the military. They're just people. So that's one of the things you learn. You grow up in a small town on the farm. You learn to work really, really, really hard.
Yes.
It's expected. And I don't care what age you are, it's expected. And so those things come together. And by treating people right, I wouldn't say that I've trained in leadership. I've learned it. I've studied it. And I know what I want to have happen to me. And I know what I'm willing to do for everybody. And it's been a really, really remarkable ride.
Yeah. Well, I love that you just said that because, the age-old question, Robert, is, are you a born leader? And I think there are some characteristics possibly, but you learn along the way. And I think that should give people hope, right? And I see that you never reached a summit. There's always a next level, right, Robert?
Yes. I will tell you, we do a lot of personality testing, and I think there are certain wiring in people that make it easier to be a leader. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so I will give that. But everything I've learned, I read, I study, and what I found just to experience, and this would be with most people, the more you give, the more you receive. Now, I don't give to get things in return. I give because it makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? My basket is overflowing, and so what happens is you teach people that if they're engaged with you and you're engaged with them and we are working for a common cause, what I've learned over the process is share the profits, share the information, share the heartache, share the successes. And then what happens as you go along, everybody gets better. And so I think what you're going to find in the book is a combination of Jack Stack and the Great Game of Business, right?
Yes.
Springfield Remanufacturing. And then I combined continuous improvement with it. And for that, we used a group called COSI Cycle of Success Institute. So we combined those two traits and taught everybody how to get better every day. We teach them how to run a business. I had a lot of people over my career say they don't know how to run a business, and that's just not true because they run their household, right? And you have a top number and you have taxes that come out and you have a car payment, you have a house or a rent payment, and you buy food, and you buy gas, and you buy groceries. And if there's anything left over at the end, it's profit.
Yes.
Okay. So they know totally how to do it. And
Yeah.
it's just engaging them and teaching them a lot of the nuances of business.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Wow. You just covered a whole bunch of information there that that I
I
want
did,
to dig
but as
into.
you go into the details more, you'll find the things. It's just a broad stroke of what the book is about from 2020 when it really changed, okay, to
Mhm.
23, 4, or 5. It's how I got to that point, right? And
Right.
making those decisions. So there's a lot more to the story than just uh, a 2-minute clip.
Absolutely, yeah, and I wanna dig in more, but I wanna go back
Okay.
because you had said something, you said, you had a sales job and you were not really treated fairly. I
Right.
think you got, snookered out of a $5,000 commission,
I
Robert,
did.
and that was kind of a pivotal change for you where you're like, you wanna build something here these are your words, you go, "I wanna build something where no one puts their hands in someone else's pocket."
Well, and I was about to say that, okay, because it's very interesting. I keep my hand in my pocket, you keep your hand in your pocket. And
Yes.
and what happens is um what I've a couple of things in that. The company gets to set the formula, right? And if you set the formula and you don't live by it, well, guess that's not some place that people want to be. And I was making $700 a month, um, draw against commission, and got paid commission. So I had a $5,000 commission check coming at Christmas, and I got $25. And I called my boss and said, "Hey man, what's going on?" And he goes, "Valley Steel didn't pay us." And Valley Steel at that time was a huge company in town in St. Louis, and they were selling, man, $200 million in 1978 when steel was going for $300 a ton. You can't even imagine. It would be 2 billion or 3 billion today.
Mhm.
And but in those days, anybody would answer the phone. You could call the president of Valley, or you could call the CFO, or
Yes.
so I called Harold Mayberry, just and said, "Mr. Mayberry, it's Robert Griggs. We had this order," and he said, "Ask your boss how much money he owes me." So they had contraed it. So I knew at that point that they were never going to treat us right, right?
Yeah.
So that's and I like to take the high road on money because two things happen if you don't. You create an enemy, and you create somebody that has a long, long memory, and they tend to not forget, and it just causes problems. So take the high road on cash, do your best, and keep going.
So, Robert, I love the philosophy. We do have similar philosophies for sure. And what I want to tell our listeners is that I know like Trinity is well over like $300 million business today,
Yes, ma'am.
which is crazy. I mean, you started from nothing.
Yeah, there's something really important happening this year, the 250th anniversary of America. And it's funny, I get to travel around. I grew up in the military, so I was all over with my dad. My dad was in Korea, and we've been to Europe and lived in Germany. And I saw the Berlin Wall, okay, and Brandenburg Gate. And so I remember that point. And I do remember I was, man, probably in second grade, the Cuban Missile Crisis. So what we find here is, even though some people might not want to believe it, if you really work hard, you're going to get better than most people around the world. If you haven't been to Africa or you haven't been to places, you don't know what poor is, right? And I
True.
grew up in Southeast Missouri, and I grew up on a farm, and there were a lot of people that it was scary. And so the point being is, America is a place where if you put your will to it, good things can happen. Now, it doesn't always work. There's luck involved, a lot of luck, a lot of opportunity. I say this, success is where opportunity and preparedness meet. Okay. So
Mhm.
you have to put yourself in that position. And I do a lot of speaking at the zoo, and kids will ask me, well, or people will say, well, I worked hard. Success in that also comes with risk. Okay.
Yes.
And risk doesn't have to be borrowing money. Risk is, did you walk up to your boss and say, how can I help you? And how can I be supportive of you? And by having the risk to say that, the gumption or the will, what happens is the more risk you take, the more reward you get because people see it.
Yes.
And so risk is one of those things, but without risk, okay, reward gets tricky, and it has to be thought about in not just monetarily, it's all the other factors in it and
Mhm, that's
success.
so good. That's so good. Well, we've already talked about your book a little bit, but your book came out in 2023. It's called Foundational Leadership, and I love the subtitle, Growth Doesn't Start at the Top.
It doesn't. And so when we go back into this thought process, and something I learned, and so I'm going to hold up a V, okay, and
Yes.
there's the pyramid, and Lisa and Jenny and me and a lot of people are at the top 30% of that pyramid, okay, pretty successful, are going to get paid almost no matter where we go, right? Something,
Mhm.
a decent wage. And so how do you really get successful and learn to grow the business? Well, you turn the pyramid upside down, and we as leaders focus on the foundation. It's the people that load the trucks. It's the people that are doing the welding. It's the people that are keeping the lights on. All right. And so our job as leaders is to make their lives better. Okay.
Mhm.
And two things happen when that happens: our customers' lives get better because we deliver our products on time with high quality. And then, secondly, it, as a leader, my life gets better because I'm not focused on all the small minutia problems. I get to go out in space and go, where's the next place to grow? You don't go from, let's see, we were 2.2 million in 1979. We got to 6 million in 2000. And 2000 was the point I realized I couldn't do this by myself. I needed something else. And I got handed Jack Stack's book, Great Game of Business and Sharing the Profits. And
Yes.
I dove in. I taught financial literacy. As much of my job was teaching, because we don't control the outcomes in business a lot. Okay, there's a war going on. There's gas prices going up. There's fuel. There's outside constraints that affect a lot of our success. So
Mhm.
from 2000 and Great Game of Business to 2010, we went to $67 million from six. All right. Then I learned again there. I go, although they can manage the expenses and the outcome, how are they affected, right? How do they affect it daily? And
Mm-hmm.
so then I was at a seminar and I saw continuous improvement. I had always felt like continuous improvement, they made it difficult or it was going to be hard, and you're a black belt and you're a blah, blah, blah. And so what I learned then in 2010 was continuous improvement goes, what's not working? Okay, that's it. That's all the question is. You put a group of people that work together that are doing the job, and you go, what's not working? You put it on a spreadsheet. You organize it by the priorities of we monetize, we organize, and we prioritize, and then you fix things, and then you meet again in 2 weeks and you fix more things. And then what happens in this is you've taken all the barriers, the impediments to success for the people that are working for you out of the way. You make a standard that we all agree upon that they have the power to have input on, and you walk in and say, you're giving me 20 feet an hour at 65% productivity. So I need 65 feet. All right. And then you go back and track anything worth doing is worth tracking. Right. Okay.
Yes, yes.
And then you post it. And so we just continued to get better. And then in 23, we did 300 and some, maybe 285 to 310, depending on. So it wasn't me doing that. It was this system that's in this book that you would buy and read, and it's just a plan. I don't know why everybody doesn't run their business this way.
Right. Oh, that's so good. Boy, you just gave us tons of gold nuggets in there, Robert. So the book that Robert's talking about is Jack Stack's book, Great Game of Business. And it really kind of changed, it was a paradigm shift for you for sure. Um, what about this the 5% rule? So you kind of struck a deal and you did. I loved because I read that where you went through and you taught all of your employees financial literacy. You taught them how to read financial statements, all of that. But tell us about the 5% rule and the profit sharing and how did this transform the behavior?
So when you get to the first part of when you're getting key numbers, key metrics in your business, right?
Mhm.
And ours, we were a combination fabricator, which has high margins, distributor, and broker. So we went out into the marketplace. It's so easy to get data today, but when we started in 2000, your banks helped supply it. And so we found that the top companies that we compared ourselves to had a 5% net return on sales. So if you sold $1,000, you made $50, and so it's just a number. We compared ourselves, and then what we found is, so if five was the top, what was the number that sustained our business? So 3.5% net return on sales was the bottom because we had to make that much money to buy new equipment and to give raises and do all that. So the bottom is 3.5% net return on sales. If we don't get above that, there's no bonusing. And then for every 5 points above that, we went to 20% of the profits. So, for example, if we had a $10 million business at 5% net return on sales would be 500 grand, and we would share $100,000 with all the employees.
Mhm.
And so it would be divided up. Now, I had people say to me, "Well, why would you give somebody $100,000?" And I go, "Would you like to motivate them to be in the top of all your peer groups every single month,
Yes.
year, forever?
Yeah.
Because you can't do it yourself, right?"
Mhm.
And so I went and took this a little further. Let's say we sold $100 million, okay, which we would make $5 million on, okay. Would you share $1 million? And here's where the numbers go. Robert Griggs is going to have to pay 45% in taxes.
Yes.
All right. So what I've done is I've put Uncle Sam in as my partner, and So I'm sharing $1 million with everybody. Do you think everybody shows up? Do you think the wives and the sons and the daughters and all the people hear about this and go, this is what I got, and show up at work and are happy? Yes.
Yeah.
And it only cost me 55% of what I would have made on that million. So
Mm-hmm.
I weighed the balance and said, I would rather them have it, be motivated, because I promise you we're going to make more. And then the other part people, businesses would say is, I'm afraid. Most business people are afraid to show somebody the books because really in a 10-year period, you knock it out of the park a couple of times, you really take it badly a couple of times, and everything else is kind of down the middle. But
Yes.
people think if you make $1 million, you make it $100,000 a month, right? And it ends up being $1 million. Well, really, it's not. You might make 600 grand in 1 month, lose 200. And so by teaching them how the business works and fluctuates, it keeps them very calm because they realize when things are bad, they're going to get better. And they realize when things are good, unfortunately, keep your head down because they're going to.
Because it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's funny, it takes all the pressure off me.
Yeah.
I didn't have any pressure.
Yeah.
Tell me what's not working. I'm going to fix it. When I fix it, I'm going to ask you the question, why aren't you doing what we all agreed to? And
Yeah.
then they'll say, well, something broke. And I go, well, why didn't you write a work ticket on it? Okay. There's always a reason that the process doesn't get done.
Sure, sure, for sure. Oh my goodness, this is so good, Robert. But we do need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Robert Griggs on the Something Extra podcast.
Hey there. In a challenging business climate like this, savvy leaders look to technology to find an edge. This can mean the difference between staying ahead of the curve or playing catch up. It's time to collaborate with the highly skilled experts at Technology Partners. Our team of technologists draws upon decades of experience for your project, with each bringing a passion for solving problems and a track record of success. How can we help you overcome your biggest technology challenges? Visit technologypartners.net to book a free consultation with one of our leaders.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Something Extra podcast with Robert Griggs. So, Robert, in 2021, talk to me about this. You took the business to an ESOP.
Correct. It kind of felt in with our philosophy. As a business person that is growing, and let's take it from 79, or I mean, uh, let's see, what was it? 93 when I bought my
Mm-hmm.
partner out from 2.2 million to 300 million. Every amount, I mean, I lived a great life, but every amount of money I made got put back into business, right?
Yes.
And so you have to have. I went to everybody and said, guys, I need a liquidity event, right? I'm getting old. I need to cash out. And so we looked at putting it into the private market. And then I just thought I really would rather, there's some advantages. It didn't take anything. All the ESOP people go, well, your business is perfect because they all know how to read an income statement and the balance sheet. They know what business is. They're not going to be afraid of it. So we ended up doing an ESOP. Had a couple really good years. And then the last 2 years have not been good. One of the years was the worst we've had. But as I go back, our job is just to show up and get better every day.
Mm-hmm.
Operationally, we did really well. We had some initiative during that period of time. We increased our productivity at the mill from about 40,000 tons a year to 55,000 tons a year. Okay, we put on a product line called Trilock, which we invested $10 million in, that we have a patent that it's a press fit connection. We're now selling it. We got an order in Nigeria. We're just shipping pipe to Nigeria to go under the Niger River. We have patents in the EU. We have patents in Africa and the Middle East. So we were doing a lot of really, really good things.
Good
And
things, right.
yeah, the market just gets in the way. And so as you learn, you don't like it, but you realize when it's bad. Here's the thing I would say to everybody, guys, it's not good. So guess what's going to happen? And they look at me and I go, it's going to get good. So
It's
we're
going to
in
get
that.
better.
Yeah, we're in that position right now. We've had a great first quarter. Second and third quarter are shaping up really, really nicely. and we're involved in the infrastructure business. So, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, for example, the one that went down in Baltimore, right?
Mhm, mhm.
We're putting the foundational pipe in for that. We've built pipe. We're the number one large diameter, meaning 24 and above, structural pipe manufacturer in America. And so we've done the Javits Center of Newark Airport, Benicia Bay Bridge. The only thing you all might see is when you drive by a Top Golf, okay, all over the country. You've probably done 25 of those. So, or signs, quick trip signs, and you would be shocked at how many signs we planted across America.
Yeah. What an awesome story. What an awesome story. And the thing is, Robert, as you're talking, I mean, that's the other thing that people need to understand. There's ebbs and flows. And you said it yourself. There's market conditions that we can't control, but let's control what we can control,
Yep.
right? Let's focus on what we can control. And there are plenty of those things. But let me ask you about this. I think this is really, I think this is, I like this. You have a no lying policy.
Yeah.
And if you lie, you're fired.
Right.
But you have also a caveat where you say you can recant that and you will be forgiven.
Yeah.
But, I mean, where did that come from?
It comes from, we do a lot of business over the phone, and over the course of this, you have young salespeople, and everybody wants their customer to be happy, and
Yes.
it's very easy to say, "Yes, the truck is loaded," or "da da da," instead of, and what I really wanted to teach everyone was this: I don't know the answer. Let me get it for you, or if you think the answer is bad, we deliver bad news first. Okay,
Mm.
that's our mission. So you come in. We have a thing we call "Eat the Frog." How would you eat a frog? Now I stole this from Brian Tracy.
Brian Tracy. Yep.
Everything I've done in my life, I've stolen from someone.
Yep.
Uh, but eating a frog is, so every salesman has a frog on their desk, and so the night before you leave, you write down all the things that have to get done, and you start with the worst one. I'm making that call. I made all my bad calls on the way to work. Hey, Jim, our truck didn't go out last night. You let me know what I have to do. I'm driving over to the plant right now, and I'm going to get all the information. So, guess what? Two things happen. I've gotten it off my chest. Jim has a chance. He's mad at you. Okay. But he also has a chance, if you tell him early, to figure out how to solve his situation with his labor and his things. And so it just went that way. And here's another thing to understand: I can fix a mistake, I can't fix a lie.
That's
Okay.
so true. So
You lose credibility with people when you lie. And
mhm.
so I am going to tell you a quick story. I told a friend of mine 2 days ago. I was on a podcast, and he goes, "Are you going to tell him the Anchorage, Alaska story?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." And here's the thing: we tell everybody everything, and we mostly start with the bad and then go to the good. So
Right.
we had a call system set up for the salesman, because I grew up in the old days where you made 100 calls a day, and you would get a hold of 20 people, and of that 20 people you would get three inquiries, and of those three inquiries you'd close one. So it was a numbers game, and it just gave us something. So one of the salesmen, uh, who fortunately was a number two salesman. This is a story of when AT&T had minutes, and you got charged per minute, okay, of LV,
Yes.
long distance. So
Yep.
this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, we My accountant young lady came in and said, "I think AT&T has overcharged us by 50 grand on our phone bill." And I go, "No way." And so they did. They had, it should have been 6 cents a minute, and they charge us 9. So, but she goes, this was a Friday afternoon on the way home at 4:30. She goes, "I got really bad news." She goes, "XYZ salesman called Anchorage, Alaska, time and temperature 4,000 times."
Oh my goodness, 4,000 times?
Yeah. Now, this is a lying thing, so he got fired, but it also comes back to something that I learned as you change now when you're learning. I had the goal set up incorrectly. Okay. I had making the number of calls and that sort of thing. So I would tell everybody in business what you started as your matrix of what happened. Is calling really the thing that it just number of calls, or
Mm,
is it am I on the phone with somebody and building a relationship, right? And
yes.
so how do you measure that? So partly it was my fault, but that's how we changed. So the recant thing is, listen, you get put under pressure and you say something, you call your customer back and say, Jim, I just checked. It's not going to be there. And you walk into your boss and you say, hey, man, I told him that, but I fixed it. And so, but because people looked at me and go, man, if your fire lied, are we going to have anybody here? And I go, yeah, we are, because we're not going to lie. And all we're going to do is tell the truth. And we're
Yes.
going to get to the finish line faster without having to create trouble. So that one was instituted. We still live by it. And then the second one that happened probably 10 years ago, that was 20 years ago, which took me a long time to find out. No drama. No drama. Because
That's good.
there are people in organizations that are drama kings and
They
queens,
love
right?
it. They love it. They
And
relish the drama.
yeah. And so what we did, and that started 10 years ago, we know who the drama people are and we coach them up and say, I got to be honest with you, this is not working for us. And so we coach them to change. And if they can't change, we just ask them to move on,
Mhm.
because our regular lives and businesses are too hard to get
Yes.
caught with drama.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
our rules are this: we have a boss, it's the customer, serve them. Okay. Secondly, serve your employees by we share the profits and we treat them fairly. Third, no lying. If you lie, you're fired. And then the fourth new one is no drama.
No drama.
No drama.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, it doesn't do anybody any good. And
No.
it pulls everybody else down, right? So
Yeah.
I love those rules. Well, I'm going to ask you one more question and then we do need to wrap up and I'll ask you something extra. But I know that you are, you talked about continuous improvement. I know from reading about you, Robert, and even the short time that I've been able to talk to you, you are a continuous learner.
I
I mean, you
work
said
very
that,
hard at it.
I mean, I've heard you quote Brian Tracy, which I absolutely love to eat that frog. I'll tell you something really funny. So one day I was imparting these business principles to our grandson. And I was saying, Sawyer, there, because it was something about homework and it was a subject he really didn't like. And I'm like, well, Brian Tracy says you eat the frog. And I said, that means you do what you like the least the first. And
Yep.
he goes, well, yeah, it could also be eat the peas.
It could be.
And I said, yes, because he will not eat anything green.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, but I know you're a big reader. And, I read this that here's some of your favorite books, and I wanted you to comment if there's anything else. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, I
Um,
love that one.
yes, Gates of
You're from
Fire.
the South, so you know what that one is.
I
You know,
do. I do know what that one is. Yes, I do. Think and Grow Rich, The Great Game of Business. We've already talked about Jack Stack's book. Warren Buffett. I would say anything by Warren Buffett.
right?
Uncle Warren.
Yeah.
Anything by Uncle Warren's great. Elon Musk's book. Shoe Dog. That's a good one by
Yep.
Phil Knight. Do you have any other ones that have just been really inspirational and foundational for you?
The people don't the think and grow rich. Okay, that is such a great story because it takes something nearly 100 years ago, but all the principles are exactly the same.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
and so if you read think and grow rich, what you're going to find is all of this basic principles of treat people correctly, do the right thing. Um, I'm going to go ahead and say eat the frog. Listen, when we make a mistake, we fix it. Okay.
Yes.
And when we mess something up, we are on the plane. And I've got one of my best customers ever on things that we truly did poorly. Right.
Mm.
And we thought we had systems in place. and we opened a second plant. And the tribal knowledge. Here's another thing: when you think you have everything, and you might have everything locked down at home base, when you have a satellite base, it's hard, okay, and things get missed. And
Yes.
so recently I just read a really good one, but it was Liar's Poker. um, and the reason I like that one is it talks about the bond market and the stock market of the 80s, okay, and it gives you an idea of what Wall Street is like, which is scary.
Mm-hmm.
How they fix the game for them, but it's part of the world. And I just keep reading. I read things that I like. I read a lot of history. I'm excited about the 250th anniversary because I know a lot about the revolution. So I tell people, and I was just at a Mizzou class, and I said, imagine 250 years ago, Ben Franklin, George Washington, Hamilton, John Adams, anybody that signed that Declaration of Independence. If we had lost, they would have been hung in Philadelphia and New York, and then their bodies taken and been hung on the Thames River, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how much courage did you have to have, okay, to go through and realize that everything that you worked for, probably 60-40, was going to get taken away? There was no odds on that this was going to work.
Mm-hmm.
The Ken Burns episode, that War of Independence, I'm watching the first few episodes again. Everybody should watch that because you don't realize how empowering. In order to get from Virginia to Philadelphia, okay, it took 10 days. So they're riding on a coach or a horse to go to the Continental Congress, right? Would anybody do anything for 10 days and not be doing business today and have enough courage to do it for other people? Um, and what you're going to learn is we had the North that wasn't involved in slavery, and we had the South that was involved in slavery, but they kind of tabled that topic because they wanted to become a country, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they go, "That's a fight I can't." They couldn't take on that fight today, but 100 years later, we took on that fight,
Yes.
and right. I was just out at the Reagan Library, and if anybody gets out there, um,
I've heard nothing but amazing things about the Reagan Library.
he was the first president that I remember that I caught on to that made me feel good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And made me feel how important. And he's an Illinois native, and he worked for the Actors Studio, the unions, so he understood people. And there's just I'm really proud to be an American, and I'm lucky, 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 lucky
Yeah.
that I am, and I'm lucky to have all these great people that work for us, and they deserve all the good fortune that they're having.
I agree. I agree. Well, Robert, just real quick, and I'm going to ask you about something extra. If you've not seen the Reagan movie, watch the Reagan movie. It is so good, so well done. I just came away from there just feeling so patriotic, and
Right.
it's just a fantastic movie. But I have to ask you, Robert, this is called Something Extra. I ask every one of my guests, what do you believe is the something extra that every leader needs?
Well, what I do extra is I went in the plant every day and I learned everybody and I asked them about their family and I kept up with them. And the other something extra that we did, in the when I was a kid, there was family there to support you, so you always kind of had a backstop. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
There's not many backstops today, so Trinity ended up being a backstop for people. So if somebody had car trouble and things went wrong, we loaned them money to get their car fixed, and
Oh, I love
we
that.
we went the extra mile because guess what? Somebody needs to do it, and we need them. And we never had a bad feeling if something went wrong and they didn't pay it back or the world ended. It wasn't that. We did it because we wanted to do good things. And what happens when you do good things for people, they talk about it, right? And when you do bad things for against people, they
They
talk
talk
about
about
it.
it.
Right.
Yes.
So why not do good things and make them want to be involved with you and make them go the extra mile for you and let them be successful while you're being successful, right? So the more you give, the more you receive, and enjoy it, and just show up and work hard every day.
That's so good. This has been so good. You are just
Thank you.
a wealth of wisdom, Robert, and I appreciate you making the time so much to be on the show today. And I really do believe that your story is going to help other people.
Well, I
And
hope the way
that's
Jack
why,
back
yeah, that's why we do this podcast, seriously. So,
I'm that Jack. And I said, Jack, you changed my life when I read your book. Okay. And so I asked Jack to do the forward for our book. And he said, I really like the avenue you took it from the shop out. And so I just hope that one person reads that book and changes something they do and something successful happens for them. And that would be a great thing to know.
yeah. Well, thanks again, Robert. This has been delightful for me.
Something Extra with Lisa Nichols is a Technology Partners production. Copyright Technology Partners, Inc. 2019. To learn more about this week's guest, check out the show notes at tpi.co/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, consider leaving us a review. Thank you for listening to Something Extra.